All right, I guess we're going to move on to the Pear-Shaped Man, which was when was that published? Let's see.
Is it
87, was it?
87?
I think it's 87.
Yeah.
I don't have it up anymore, but
At that point, Ellen Datlow had been moved up, and she was able to buy it and publish it. Before we get into lemon cakes, though, like Duncan, you're the newest member here on our reviews. Did you provide the snacks for us today? What did we got?
Yeah, I've got twisties and solo and stuff you've never heard of.
So the equivalent of cheese doodles and Coke, I guess.
Cheese doodles. I can never separate them from this story now. I will
The particular name
hide
that he
them.
uses, cheese doodles, is just like there must be that one brand or one company that has.
yeah, I
the
was
spelling.
wondering, is that even an
Just-
actual thing or not?
Is
I
it
just
a-
think of these like maggoty orange cheese powdered coating.
Did you all see the image that I posted in the? It's like the Japanese cover for the story in the.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was.
That was
and
pretty funny. I like
what
Greg's
is
response.
Greg thought it was a story about a woman falling in love with cheese doodles,
Yeah.
I think it was Zach that said that.
which it kind of is.
No, it was Greg, I
Was it
think.
Greg?
Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of rating would you give? How many cheese doodles would you give the Pear-Shaped Man?
I give it 3.5 panties with cheese doodles in them. Purely because, yeah, the word panties is
Also,
terrible.
you can
Sorry.
give it that.
I mean, that panties is not great, but the cheese doodles and just the idea of the powdered cheese stuff in your underwear was just that really grossed me out. I really didn't like that.
Well, and I
Took
think
it too
that was
far, Amber.
that was why. Sorry, that was why, because I just didn't enjoy it. I mean, it was a decently written story. I felt like it was a little bit repetitive. But I mean, I guess you're trying to evoke that feeling of like she's getting more and more obsessed, and her world is kind of shrinking to just her and the Pear-Shaped Man. But it just was not enjoyable. And then I didn't really. I mean, I understood what happened at the end, but I just didn't get it. Whereas the monkey treatment was a definitive ending, and this was just kind of like, well, that sucks. Yeah, so 3.5, which is still not bad, I guess.
I thought it was very effective as a horror story, mainly because, while I was disturbed, I couldn't really pinpoint why. There's nothing that outlandish that occurs in the first sort of 3/4 of the story, but Martin, I don't know, he just manages to imbue the language with this really creepy, slithering dread that just kind of gets under your skin, and I don't know, just made me feel unclean as I was reading it. And as irrational as Jessie sort of seems in a lot of her actions, the story, I think, is really successful in just getting inside her head and identifying with her obsession and her paranoia regarding the Pear-Shaped Man. The only thing that didn't quite work for me was the ending, like the monkey treatment. Again, I think it maintained the creepy mood of the rest of the story, but it wasn't quite clear on what it meant. But maybe we can talk about that. But yeah, overall, the writing was excellent, so I'll give it 4.5 cheese doodles.
Yeah, I think I'm somewhere maybe 3.5 or something like that. I find it creepier than monkey treatment, but I did have sort of the same sort of problems. I didn't enjoy it as much. I wasn't enjoying it while I read it as much, and then also I was bothered. I mean, I'm sure it was intentional, but I was bothered by the fact that I couldn't really figure out what was going on in the same way that you can in the monkey treatment.
And I'm thinking we should have done this before Halloween, because this could have been a good Halloween costume with cheese doodles. And just like,
It would have been an easy one too. Yeah.
you could offer everybody cheese doodles. You'd be like,
Yeah.
hey, I went to show you my things.
Halloween's supposed to be fun.
Yeah. Oh, this could be a backup cosplay then for inside joke. If somebody gets it, like you could see who is a true.
Who the real George
Street
R. R.
fans.
fan is.
Yeah.
I could do that one for the. I could do that for the party on.
You should, yeah. Because I mean, some people might listen to this. I mean, Greg will listen. Other people will listen. So that point to read. So, I'd give it 3.5 as well. I mean, it's a good, solid story. I liked monkey treatment a little bit more. I have a couple of theories we'll get into. But when I first read it too, I was just like, what kind of title is it? Pear-Shaped Man. I didn't expect much of it, but it was a good story. But it's just like, what are you reading? Oh, the Pear-Shaped Man. It's like, it's just such a weird title for it, but that's what it is, and it's a weird story. But just two theories I want to keep in mind as we go through it. One is I definitely think there's some sort of psi going on just the way that he's getting in her head. I think there's some sort of psi involvement with the dreams, that kind of stuff. And the second thing I want to do is just keep an eye out of it. I mean, this was written a while before. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I think if you viewed the story with like a feminist point of view or a modern point of view, you can see. I mean, like some of the dread that may be there, may be things that sometimes women may feel, whereas a guy can cause the atmosphere to be scary. But in contrast, it may also be prejudice against the pear-shaped men. But I just want to keep that in mind. Is in certain circumstances, you don't have to do anything or even say anything to create an environment that can affect another person if you're not aware of it. Yeah. So I always want to keep that in mind as we read through it. Counterbalanced by the fact that there may be prejudice against pear-shaped men.
Well, not kind of a little. This is completely out of nowhere, but I kind of had the thought that what if this is the daughter from Portraits of His Children? Because she's doing these paint and like she, she's in the big city now, and she's trying to, be all grown up, and yet she's still, she would have reason to be paranoid about strange men below her. And of course it's not, but it just popped into my head.
Yeah. But George, lived in, sketchy neighborhoods, and he knew people that might have lived in this type of situation. Like, he himself lived in groups of people and this kind of thing. So I guess, it's interesting, though, like, that they had the same kind of, she lives in a sketchy... Well, it's not really a sketchy neighborhood, is it?
I don't think it's a particularly bad neighborhood. I mean, it's not upscale or anything, but I don't think it's bad.
No, this is after she moved away from this... after she moved out of her dad's house. Sorry.
You're talking about the woman from...
Portrait of His...
okay. Yeah.
After she...
Okay, sorry, guys.
No, go ahead. No, that's it. Just that, maybe this is the life she left her dad to go live. Now she lives with a pear-shaped man.
Yeah. So you think this? I mean, under that idea, you think this is after the events of?
Yeah. And maybe she has a reason for being so paranoid. I don't know.
But what were their names? That was a different name, though, I think, right?
Yeah, it wasn't Jesse.
I'm saying that maybe he knew similar people that inspired both characters.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Like the source person might have been used to create both characters. So she moves in with Angela, and the pear-shaped man comes up with his small, pale, watery eyes, and he says, "Ah, there she is," he says. "Into every girl's life a pear-shaped man must fall," Angela said. Is that true?
I don't like that. And I don't like the close of the first paragraph where he's like, everyone knows a pear-shaped man. And then she's just like, hey, everybody's got a pear-shaped man. It's like, is that a thing that I've just never heard of?
You missed out.
I guess, that it's saying that everybody has, that everybody's known like a weird, creepy guy or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be equivalent to.
I think so.
What's just a pear shape? I mean, what's up with that? I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. For some reason, he really latched onto the term.
I thought it was affecting as a title. I noticed it because it is really bizarre and weird, and I don't know. It just made me think of fruit, but rotting fruit. Just it's a creepy kind of organic vibe to it.
I'm trying to find the original. I was trying to search pear-shaped man to find the original cover, but it's not bringing up what I'm looking for. Because there is an original cover pear-shaped man that's really creepy. Not the Japanese one. There's another one. Oh, here we go. I think I found it. Let me paste it in here. Hell, that's a long link.
Is it creepy?
Whoa!
Is it an effective picture?
It's just it looks like it's from the 80s. That's
oh no!
Did it load up the second link or?
That's the longest highlighting link a little bit.
No, the second one, the one that's blue. Go to the link that is blue.
Yeah, that link was pretty nuts. I was trying to copy the first one for 5 minutes.
Here we go.
I got you. This is the guy behind the woman. Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to use both these covers for the story when I release.
Oh yeah.
What does she have in her paintbrushes?
I don't know. It's just a weird.
Yeah.
He uses the description throughout the whole story, but everyone does know somebody who's kind of creepy or whatever like that, or have at least met somebody like that.
Yeah.
He actually looks much more harmless.
Yeah, in this version.
Yeah, he doesn't look nearly as
than the description.
He looks jolly. He's like, I wanted to show you my things.
Yeah, the only thing really weird about the guy in the illustration is his pants. Really.
Did any of you guys listen to the audiobook version?
No, is there? Oh, I guess Dream Songs, yeah.
Roy Daltrece did it, and he actually uses a few voices from A Song of Ice and Fire, which is weird. Like, he uses a Welsh accent at one point, which is bizarre. But his voice for the Pear-Shaped Man is just, like, chilling. It is so childlike and sort of stretched out and high decibel. It's
maybe you can get a couple excerpts and we'll put it in here.
Yeah.
Pull a couple of the, there she is.
It's the way he says things. It's, like, elongated, and it just, like, buries itself into your soul.
Ugh.
All right, so they move in, and then they see him, and he's paying for stuff just by counting his coins. She gets in line behind him, and all he buys is Coke and a bag of cheese doodles. That's all he buys. Cheese doodles are the best, he said. Would you like some? Oh, he's just offering her some cheese doodles. No, thank you. And then he goes away, and they're like, nobody knows what he's called. Everyone just calls him the Pear-Shaped Man.
It's funny that he recognizes her right away as the one he needs.
Yeah.
But she also seems to, like, right off the bat, like everybody else is like, yeah, he's creepy, whatever. But she, like, immediately kind of latches on to him.
Well, I think she's susceptible to his psi lure.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory. There's psi going on because there is something going on with her.
Yeah,
I mean, there is. I feel weird, going on and on about Psy two things in a row. But yeah, I mean,
that's
there's
why it's
obviously
consistent, right?
Yeah,
it
exactly.
fits George's writing.
Yeah, but yeah, obviously there's some sort of thing going on.
Well, she's drawn to him in some way. He does seem he's kind of sounds a bit gross and unhygienic or whatever, but ultimately harmless. But I don't know. Unlike most people, she scrutinizes him just a few seconds longer, and that she, like, senses something weird and surreal, and just, I guess the fact that it's unknowable, that we don't really get an understanding of what she's afraid of or what she's paranoid about. It's really just the language that we're sort of being freaked out by. So I think that's effective in not showing you what to be afraid of, just letting your sort of imagination go wild.
So she wants to meet people. She thinks about going down to say hi, and then decides not to. Pulls away.
It's funny that everybody has an opinion about him, but she's the only one who really becomes obsessed.
Well, but they're all biased against him in some way. They're like, don't go near him, or some of them are. They don't want the
most people just see him and they just have a fixed idea of what he is. Again, a little creepy, but ultimately harmless.
They'll have different views, yeah. They're like, oh, he's on welfare, or he's like on feeble-minded, or... Yeah,
they just kind of label him as this thing, and then they just steer clear of him. But again, Jesse is kind of simultaneously attracted and repulsed to that. Just what is he? How can someone live like that?
Damned if I know, says Pete Pimetti.
Oh, Pete.
Such a
you are a card drivel.
He sure as hell don't work. Bet he's a queer.
Sorry.
Or a drug pusher.
Drug pusher. Jeez. Everyone has different... And then Billy Peabody thinks he writes pornographic books.
Could be them queer pornographic books.
Dun, dun, dun.
Pay for his drugs.
Yeah, and then he can be a shopping bag man at the same time. And it's all... So then he always has his set routine. He always buys the stuff, and then he goes for ice cream. It's homemade, he squeaked at her.
Ice cream soda.
Yeah. Oh, his ice cream soda? Oh.
Yeah.
His buttocks overflowing the stool in which he was perched. Overflowing the stool.
See, it's just those little
that's another
things
Martin
that just make
description.
it...
Yeah. What do you want? She snapped. Would you like to come down and see my house? He asked in a high, viney voice. I mean, up to this point, he hasn't really done anything. He's saying stuff. It gets more creepy later in actuality, but she finds it creepy from the very start.
Yeah.
Well, and it seems like the dreams that she has about him just make it spiral out of control. Because I think even she could see, if it was only the things that were happening, him talking to her, then I think she could see, oh, that's pretty harmless. But, if you add those crazy dreams to it.
That certainly accelerates things as the dreams, yeah. But even if she didn't have the dreams, if you looked at it in summation, at some point, the way that he keeps talking to her, like, she kind of realizes she doesn't want him to talk to her. But at this point, he gives Angie some of the fat orange worms, Just the description of the cheese doodles. It's like,
yeah, that was something that I couldn't believe, is that her roommate took a handful of disgusting chips from this guy and gave them to her roommate.
Well, they're not as bad as they are. Just
she was drunk, right?
Oh, is she?
Yeah,
Probably.
she was.
That
That's
night.
true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But still.
That's still fucked
Just
up.
the description, though, is worse than it is. Just like it left the powdery stains in the palms of her hand with little flaking twists of corn and cheese. And it's just like George is like turning harmless cheese doodles into this like scary thing.
Exactly. A lot of the fear comes from taking these like really banal, innocuous things, like even just garbage or junk food or just like bad odor, and it just makes them horrifying. It just invests them with this like abominable sense of what might be there, what might be hidden. It just like, I don't know, it's slithering. It just slithers over the page.
I just feel like cheese doodles should be our inside joke now. It's like whenever you want to meet a real fan, it's like, here, have some cheese doodles. Serve it at conventions.
I think we're having a moot maybe in Melbourne in a month or so. So we'll bring some cheese doodles and
find out who the
see
real
how people
fans
react.
are.
Yeah.
I really think people should. I mean, people are listening to this. Like, if you're waiting for the next book and you're not reading anything, you should read George's earlier works. Like, there's a lot in there just by themselves, other than what you can get that relates to Ice and Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yeah. I've been loving just like following along with you guys and reading from Dream Songs. Like Dying of the Light, I'm still making my way through it. I've sort of got mixed feelings on it. It can be a bit tedious at times, but the short stories are really good, and they're short. They're really well written, and they go through. There's a lot of genres. There's fantasy, sci-fi, horror. And there's a lot of sort of Song of Ice and Fire DNA to be sort of sprinkled around. So it's definitely worth checking out Dream Songs, I think.
That's what I did when I was waiting for Dance of Dragons.
Yeah.
That's how I got into it. But I mean, he is just a master short story writer. And then Princess and the Queen and Rogue Prince, in a way, are like short stories. That's why he's so good at pumping them out and getting them out there.
Mm-hmm.
Had you read Dream Songs before? Oh, sorry. Was this your first read-through of the Dream Songs, Duncan?
Oh, I haven't read all of them. I've just been reading some of the short stories, just bit by bit, yeah. I sort of know, I remember, I've been reading them over a couple of years, on and off. But yeah, I've been reading some of the ones that you've been talking about. But the short story format it's really interesting. It's more of a we sort of talk about A Song of Ice and Fire as this huge kind of epic. It's very much stretched out, and there's a lot of detail. But I like the condensedness of short stories in terms of just him getting straight to the punch, getting straight to the good stuff.
So she has her first dream now where she's going down the door. It's opening very slowly at this apartment, and something terrible is going to happen. And that's the first dream we don't see. But, like, what is this? I mean, it's not just foreshadowing. I think it's Psy. It's something.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something. I mean, like, the idea that, like, everything that happens, like, she has successive dreams, right, that keep going further and further. And each time... and then when it actually happens, everything that happens in the dream happens in real life. I mean, I don't think there's any way that's, you know.
I think it's more to do with obsession, just the way, I mean, we can all obsess about things sometimes, but usually it's something
But you usually don't predict
doing.
the future when you do so.
Yeah, but it's that feeling of, if you become a little obsessed with something, you might neglect some of your responsibilities. It's never usually that serious, but the idea of being obsessed about something that you can't control, you try to get away from it, but your mind just keeps pulling you back to it, and it just rewrites your entire perception of the world, and it detaches you from friends and family, and just even from your own identity. Like that feeling of obsession taken up to 11 can really just completely change your whole perception of the world. And like, I almost feel like if one way of interpreting the ending is this fear that, we see these pear-shaped men and they're really weird and we wonder how could a person like that exist. But the scarier question is, could we become like that? If we became mentally unstable or paranoid or obsessed, could we be reduced to that kind of living situation in some way?
Not this directly, like being like this parasite transfer, but just becoming a pear-shaped person.
Just being sort of socially inept or exiled, or just phobias like just agoraphobia or fear of being social or fear of going outside and just boxing yourself in. Because Jessie feels that she becomes detached and unstable throughout the story.
Well, she's shutting the windows on a sweltering day, and she can't. Definitely, she doesn't know what she's doing.
She can't even hook up anymore. Gets ruined by
Yeah, it's ruining her relationships and her job, and it's just digging into this obsession and this paranoia that seemingly stems from nowhere, but that's kind of what paranoia and obsession is.
He smiled at her so close she could count the pores in his nose, see the sheen of the saliva on his lower lip. He said nothing. Oh, because she gets his mail. She wants to see who it is, just as occupant. And apparently, Pear-Shaped Man gets spam mail. He hates it like everybody else. It's just garbage. They shouldn't be able to send you garbage. They ought to be stopped.
I like that.
Would you like to see my things? I have things inside to look at.
No, Jesus.
Like at some point, if you keep asking somebody, "Would you like to see my things?" I feel like you haven't done anything physical, but in a modern point of view, you are harassing a person.
Exactly. You're harassing.
Yeah, I mean,
them.
it's definitely harassment.
Yeah. But in the 80s, they wouldn't understand it as much. They'd be like, well, he hasn't done anything. He's just talking to you. But talking can be harassment.
Sure.
And I don't know if Martin was attempting to do that, but it's just like if you look at it with a modern point of view.
Yeah, I think that there was also... I mean, I think people just sort of like weren't believing her so much, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't really remember. Did she tell people like that he was standing outside her window all day and stuff like that?
She told her roommate.
The roommate was stupid, though.
Her roommate was dumb, just generally.
Yeah, not good friends.
Yeah.
She's like the stock horror, like, best friend.
Like, if you look at it objectively, a guy's standing outside your room all the time and he's always talking to you, that's harassment. Like, it is. Like,
yeah.
So, but she doesn't fully explain it to Angie, or Angie's not in the move to really to get it, so. Alright, so let's keep going here. And she, I mean, even herself said he hadn't actually done anything after all. He was just creepy. But I mean, that's an 80s point of view, I feel. That's modern day, you could still say he's done something.
It was a crazy
I mean, I guess,
decade.
but I also feel like it's sort of like she just winds up talking to people who aren't particularly sympathetic or whatever. And even now, I imagine that it would be difficult to pursue any like legal.
But people would understand it better. Well, it depends. Like, I mean,
it depends on your friends, right? I mean, like I think some people would, and some people would,
And I kind of went back.
I feel like
and
her
forth.
friend doesn't really like her, so
it's like you need to move out of that place. She just
I feel like her friend doesn't really respect her. Or
She wants her boyfriend to move in.
Yeah,
she just doesn't know how to say it.
That's their plan, is to get her out of there.
But I kind of went back and forth on like he's disgusting the whole time, and anytime he was on the page, it was creepy. But at the same time, there's a little bit of not cute, but you can see that like, oh, he's not. He's like he's like an ugly puppy dog. Show you my things. Like you can almost see the other point of view if you're not in her head. But I agree that it's just entirely
if he's just
too much.
a simple person or something, he might actually be harmless.
Right.
Like if he's just like a childlike person, he's just like, I want to show you my things, like my play toys or whatever.
Yeah.
But the fact that nobody around her listens or has any...
He doesn't say that to anybody else, so that's the thing too. He doesn't go up to other people and be like, I want to show you my things. Like, just to her.
Well, I think that's the point. It's. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, if you did, I mean, I don't think he necessarily is in the story, but if you do think of him as like mentally disabled in some way, then it is actually kind of it's a different story. Definitely, I hadn't really thought about that before. I used to deliver pizza to a guy who was always he had some sort of issue, I'm not sure, and other health issues, but he also always had Cheetos dust on his fingers, and he would always like stop.
Get out of there.
Yeah, he would always stop and talk for a few minutes whenever I delivered to him.
Yeah.
And so now that I think about that, like I've never really, like I always sort of like, because I hated having
escaped with your life.
Yeah, I guess so. I always hated having to take money or whatever.
You weren't a good match for him, so.
Yeah, I guess not.
It does feel, it does kind of feel mean into like.
Yeah, exactly. Like I never thought anything bad about that guy until just now.
Like he might just be a bit slow and he's unhygienic. But I guess he is almost childlike. You could interpret as being childlike. It's more about Jessie and her sort of interpreting it as something sinister. Yeah. So it might just all be in Jessie's mind. She might just be going crazy.
Well, it gets in her mind when she paints him into her painting here. Like he takes the painting and he's like, "What's with this guy? He looks unattractive." And it's like, this guy, he's got a double chin and a lower lip. Our heroes, they don't do this. It's like, okay.
They don't drool.
God forbid they drool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, nobody has drool fantasies, so.
That's probably.
I mean, I'm sure somebody does. Yeah, no. Yeah, I immediately retract that. Obviously, I'm sure some people do, and that's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
The editor doesn't understand that people have.
Yeah.
The guy in Portraits of His Children would understand, probably. People have.
That's his next character, the drooler.
They can't have pinheads on there, he says. Got to fix it up. So they send
by
him
the time she got to the second portrait, and of course it's a story and there's momentum to it and there's a point. You can't just insert reality in there. But I was like, I just wanted her to have her roommate look at it. Like, I didn't see this before, so will you just double check this and make sure it's okay because this is important. There's a deadline.
Yeah. Maybe if her roommate wasn't such a horrible person that hated her, she would have thought of that.
It's really her roommate.
Roommate won't know if it's good art or not.
Yeah, but the roommate would be able to tell her, like, did you know that when you were drawing the hero, you actually, drew the pear-shaped man?
Well, the first time is not the problem. It's the second time, which we'll get into. Is
exactly.
The first time was unexpected.
Yeah.
So then he tells them to fix it, and then they have a beer or something. Let's see. She goes into the building, and then she steps on a nest of orange worms.
Oh.
Yeah. For a second, I thought that was her apartment at that point, but it's just like the main building, right?
It's just the hallway.
The hallway.
Yeah.
And then she dreams about it again. He has a dream, wakes up, and goes to say, like, how did he get in there? He's not supposed to have a key to the main hallway.
Yeah, I think about 15% of people in an apartment at any given time don't have a key to anything. But...
And the whole thing with the leasing agent or whatever is just, again, it's one of those things where I'm like, come on, he doesn't have a lease.
That's the 80s.
Yeah, I actually...
lawless no time? What?
It's the Cold War. We didn't know when we were going to die. I could have dropped at any second. We couldn't spend time making leases.
I mean, but that's not like, it's not like the real estate agent inherited him, right? I mean, like, it's not like the guy moved in and, right? Like, he didn't even know, right? All he knows is that he picks up the cash. I mean, like, exactly what happened to set him on a month-to-month situation, like, we don't know. And I mean, I think that there are plausible explanations.
He could have,
Where does he get his money from?
Like, he could just be
Cheesy
McDoodle or whatever. Like, it just...
He owns stock in Cheese Doodles, and they just send him
dollar
dollar bills.
Pear in Welsh, like whatever the Welsh
Pear Incorporated.
Yeah. But it adds to his mystery that they don't know like his name. That's what kind of draws. Like, if they just had a name there that might have stopped some of her obsession. It's like, no, we don't have his name.
I do think it's funny that everybody, when she's like, "So what? You just checks?" They say "pear-shaped man." It's such an odd phrase that everybody just throws around.
Yeah. By the way, I just double-checked, and Cheese Doodles are real, and they're owned by a company called Wise Foods, which was purchased by Arca Continental, which has a yearly revenue of $4.65 billion. So I guess he's doing all right.
Goodness.
How convenient.
Well, they should be paying Martin royalties for advertising their product.
Yeah.
I will never eat a cheese doodle again.
No, they should sue him for defamation.
I will not.
I haven't eaten a pear for years. I need to have a pear. I remember the last time I had a pear. When's the last time you had a pear?
I used to have a pear tree in my backyard.
Oh, I just ate a pear for the first time in literally years.
Right after you read this story, you had this
No, like 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
Maybe that'll be the
2
last
weeks
one.
before you read this story. That's interesting.
Have you had any odd dreams lately?
Yeah.
Not any odder than usual.
Oh, good. Then nothing out of the order.
Then you should be fine, yeah.
You could have a dream after reading the story. Like, it is the type of story that can give you a bad dream.
There's an in popular culture section on the Cheese Doodles Wikipedia page, but the George R. R. Martin story is not mentioned. I should put that in.
Yeah.
It is CHEEZ Doodles, right?
Oh, yeah, I see here, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's an oversight.
Yeah, somebody needs to add that.
Oh, here we go, yeah. That's Wise Foods. Oh, there's multiple versions. There's puffed.
Yeah.
Puffed white cheddar, crunchy reduced fat.
I would like to point out that just that we're not talking much about the story itself.
You're listening to the Cheese Doodles podcast.
Well, Wise recently made their crunchy cheese doodles cheesier, more akin to Cheetos flavor.
See, Cheetos are delicious.
Although there's citation needed on that, I mean, so
Oh yeah.
I don't know whether we can believe it.
They're the preferred snack of ESPN NBA analyst Stephen A. Smith, and they're a favorite snack of Lincoln Pierce's big comic character Big Nate.
So Stephen Smith is a pear-shaped man?
There were 2 episodes of HBO series How to Make It in America. There we go.
You think that's why they picked up Game of Thrones?
Monkey Island game has them as well.
Yeah, I played Monkey Island. I don't remember the cheese doodles, but yeah.
The Monkey Lords. It all connects.
Yeah. Let me go to our main webpage here.
Putting it together.
Is he orchestrating all of this?
Oh, it's like a unicorn on the main page. All right, I think we have enough of this side affair here. Maybe I'll shift this to the after show.
Oh, well, I would imagine it mean.
Yeah. You gotta lead with
this.
Oh,
no, it'll still be in there. I'll just shift it to the after
Yeah.
show.
I mean, we can't lose this. This is quality.
So we kind of like.
Is this like the backdoor? Is this like the backdoor pilot for a new podcast spinoff
on cheese doodles?
Cheese doodles,
or just snack foods. We could just visit various websites for snack foods. Yeah,
right,
Kingsgrave.
I'm just gonna make a note here that we had like a 20-minute chat about cheese doodles. And I'm moving it to the after show, so you can just go to cheesedoodles.com and
check it out.
There. It's
also, the Facebook, which is facebook.com/cheesedoodlesfans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then if you have any cool cheese doodle photos, submit them to us.
Absolutely.
Put them on our website.
Yeah.
Yeah. Particularly if you're good looking. But,
yeah.
We are now the parasite subsisting of... The other discussions are a parasite subsisting of this discussion.
I think we're turning into parasite people right now. But,
yeah, like when she started to get obsessed with the taste of them later in the story.
Oh, yeah. Let's go there. Okay, so...
Okay.
He's saying he looks at me. They're like, well, you're an attractive woman, Jesse. And he's like, well, no, he's not looking... Like, it's not even that. This is weird way that he's looking at her.
Something is up. Like, I like that they put in there that she's like, no, it's not like a creepy sex vibe. It's just they're...
Sarcastic.
They have less than 10 likes.
Sorry, Amber, you're a little...
You're getting choppy here. You're a little chubby for the... Sorry. The line can't handle you. I want to redial in, maybe. Or no, let's see.
Try talking again, Amber, and see if...
Oh, no.
Should I end and get back on?
Yeah, you might want to hop off and back on.
Hello?
Hey.
Hello?
Still choppy?
No, it's good.
Your sounds better.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
There's no pear-shaped man interfering with your net, so it's all good.
I was actually just saying that I can't believe Cheese Doodles has less than 10,000 likes, but I'm off the now. I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the story.
Well, and all that cheese doodle shot, we didn't even look at how many calories it is. I was just curious.
They're gluten-free, I can tell you that.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's helpful.
They're
I just
branching
imagine
in.
like orange powder coating the inside of your lungs
Why would it be in your lungs?
because it's like vapor. It's just dust. It's not.
While you're
food.
eating it, you inhale the cheese dust. No, because if you want to skip like digesting, you just inhale cheese dust. Goes right.
It's a
into
crude emulation of food.
Yeah.
Do you think Kenny
It's like
would have
a
liked them though?
Monkey Lord's interpretation of food.
Oh, he only didn't like liver and
Yeah.
something.
Liver and something. I can't remember what the something was.
Yeah.
prune juice.
Prune juice, yeah.
So they look
Yeah.
Oh,
like
you
this-
can order cheese doodles direct from Wise, by the way. You get
Never
24 2.375 ounce bags for $27.
I think we're going to get the request to review copies first. See if we
Yeah, that's a good point.
get for free.
Shouldn't buy them. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see.
There
here.
was the time that he follows her to the bus stop, and that's definitely cause for
harassment type material.
you
Yeah,
know,
for sure.
at least for her roommate to get on board. That like she's not crazy. If dude is following her down the street, that's creepy.
Well, I mean, at some point, the roommate and her horrible boyfriend decide. I mean, I think basically decide that she's a liar, right, and sort of stop.
Yeah.
Or they just think that she should just ignore him. Like she's giving him too much attention. She just, there's weird people.
Yeah,
like
they
that
think
in
she's
the city.
blowing it out.
And
of
she should
proportion.
she should just ignore them. Don't even engage with him. That's why they're interpreting it. Or maybe she's making a bigger deal of it.
Because he just never does it to anybody else, so they don't witness. Even if it's like harassment type stuff, they don't see it, so they don't think that he's done anything like that. So is she repainting here? Yeah, she's repainting, and she's like, why did I give him those pale eyes? She made the green eyes. She painted it in there. Now later on, we find out that she's actually redrawn herself into it. Did she do that initially, or did she change it later? Like, what do you think happened?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
I
was
think
wondering-
she basically, changed it.
I was wondering if that was something she did at that point and she didn't realize she was doing it,
She
or
was
she
painting
painted
herself,
it perfect.
maybe because it's the green eyes, right? She has green eyes. So maybe she was painting herself, but she thought she was fixing him, but all she was doing was painting herself in right there, unconsciously, rather than changing it later? Or
She has a
And
nightmare straight afterwards, though, so I'm wondering if maybe she painted a perfect picture, but then after the nightmare, or maybe during
Went
the
and
nightmare,
changed it?
sleepwalker, she
Yeah.
went and changed it or something.
because her friend says that she looked in and like she didn't even respond. It's like you were so absorbed. Maybe she was like sleepwalking or something.
Yeah.
But it could be either way. It could be that she did it right away because the green eyes. Like she might have been painting herself, but she actually thought she was painting him, or she changed it while she was sleeping. One way or the other, she did it under psi powers. Like
Yeah, well, and she goes into such great detail about, okay, let's fix his jaw, let's fix his hair. He looks exactly like this. So you have a picture of what the guy looks like, and then it's like, oops, no.
Yeah. And I think she paints it a day or so before she actually hands it in, so something could have happened in between then and now. I think the point is just that she's an unreliable narrator. She's losing it a bit, not realizing what she's doing.
well, like that theory we had with the guy in the Portraits of His Children was sending it to himself for the paintings. Like he wasn't fully aware, or at least that was what we thought.
Yeah, that was a possibility. Yeah.
Okay, and so they're having breakfast. Dawn's thinking you're overacting. I find Angela more annoying than Dawn. At least Dawn is trying to like analyze things. Angela's just like, oh, he's got a crush on you. That's hard. It's harmless. It's like,
Yeah, but Don is Don's the boyfriend, right?
he's doing the male perspective. Of
Yeah, he's just such a condescending little prick. I mean,
Yeah.
and he just sleeps over all the time. Like, get her go over your place sometimes. He's always there.
I liked
honestly-
Angela at the end when she was comforting Jessie and like sort of defending her against Don. That was kind of nice.
But it didn't last long.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, she's terrified. And she is, kind of sweet to her for a second. And then Dawn kind of convinces her. And then she
Definitely has
goes
a male
over.
perspective. Like Dawn has.
But she seems to be trying to help her. Like, just go talk to him. We'll be right outside. It's not like she's brushing her off at this point. She knows there's something seriously wrong with Jessie, and she tries to help her. So it's not totally cold or callous or anything.
Then the dream the next night gets more details with his dead white hairless flesh and two floppy breasts. There's blue ink on his breast from leaking pens.
that's pretty weird, right? Like they describe them as like Bics, right? The pens,
Yeah.
which I don't think leak that badly, really. Do they? To leak all
Well,
the way
he
through
never
your
has
shirt?
he never has a cap on him.
Yeah, I know, but like that kind of pen just doesn't.
Huh.
Like it's not a very leaky kind, like type, right?
Maybe it's like imitation.
Maybe.
Quality. If you don't buy the full quality, it'll leak through your shirt.
Yeah, that could be.
Then what are you going to do if you have ink on yourself? And he's smiling as he undid his thin belt. It's like, so creepy.
Yeah.
And his polyester pants. So the next morning, she sends in the photo, messengers it in, looks outside, and he's waiting out there.
Yeah.
You can see my things, he said. I knew when I saw you, you'd want my things. You'd like them. We could have food. I don't remember that line, we could have food, actually. Huh? And he pulls out the cheese doodle and held it up to her. His mouth moves silently.
Get away from here or I'll call the police.
I have something for you. Come to my house and you can have it. It's in my pocket. I'll give it to you. It's just like, come on there.
Well,
Yeah.
and combined with the whole dream about him taking his pants off, I didn't this time because I knew what happened, but I remember reading this the first time and getting such a rapey vibe, and that just made it
Yeah.
even more creepy.
He's getting to the harassment point, and especially when he's going to follow her.
But I feel like it's different from a rapey vibe. It's more about him just kind of, it's like harassment. It's sexual harassment. He's just kind of.
But that can be
He doesn't-
the step later can be an actual assault. Like that's how it gets
Oh,
to
absolutely.
assault, right?
But just, it's more like he's getting off on taunting her or getting her response, telling him to go away and sort of touching himself and doing weird implications rather than anything that
Yeah, like he's
aggressive,
gonna-
I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
Rubbing his
Like more of like a flasher vibe. Than
Exactly, a flasher, yeah.
Sure.
Although that would be the actual like interpretation if it was just some person, but it's like more. I mean, he's not just some person, right? He's something else. So then
Yeah.
she has a sandwich, and then she wants cheese curls. She starts tasting. I mean, that's got to be Psy influence there. That's my interpretation.
She's craving cheese.
Everything is sigh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get it the first time I read this years ago because I hadn't read all his works and had that idea that Martin works with that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's just to have that kind of picture them, could taste them, the mouth water, like for this type of situation. Doesn't seem
Or maybe even his desires are starting to get inside her head, because obviously at the end they switch bodies, but maybe he's starting to seep into his personality.
Yeah, it kind of feels like when people turn into vampires slowly, and they can't eat because nothing tastes right. They need to have the blood, or she needs to have the cheese doodles because she's already starting like some sort of transformation.
Yeah, and you're right. She walks to the bus stop and he follows. He's like, they're all around us. They laugh at me. They don't understand, but they want my things. I can show you proof. I have it down in my house. I know you want to come and see. Then she meets a guy, right? At the movies or something? Is that what happens? Yeah. He's got a nice apartment.
Played a little Linda Ronstadt.
He's got a view of the ocean. Nice bachelor pad. What do you want? I have beer or iced tea. He says, Coke, she said absently. No Coke. Then he goes to all that trouble to make her some dinner. Now, did he actually put the cheese curls on there, or did she see cheese in that way? Like, is it cheese and she sees it as cheesies, or?
I kind of assumed that he just happened to have
What kind of guy
them.
serves cheese doodles on a plate when he has it all over? Like, that's pretty...
Who makes sandwiches for your late? Although it does sound good.
It does sound like a good sandwich.
Maybe a good sandwich, but I wouldn't put cheese doodles. I'd be like
well, I mean, I don't...
Like, here, have
Such
some
a
cheese.
player.
He knows the power of cheese.
He knows what's up. He knows he gets the ladies.
He wants to get in her panties. So
Saying that. It's upsetting.
It's like putting chips on it, right?
he puts a whole plate
Kind of a
them.
little food on the side.
Yeah, and for dessert.
Yeah, for dessert, I got cheese. Cheese. 2 full handfuls.
I got these powdery orange maggots.
It's like instead of rose petals on the bed, it's just a powder.
They start sprinkling cheese doodles on the bed. Well, he knows the power of cheese spray, right? He's got cheese spray cologne. Oh, somebody dropped out.
Did we lose Amber again?
It goes too much for her.
She had to take a minute to compose herself.
Yeah, it's intense.
So why are they like moving in our view? They're like they're moving in toward the sandwich, and it's just she's losing.
Yeah, I think that's her being crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how it's kind of this tension between what she knows she should want and what she's actually desiring. Like, she knows this situation she should be into. She wanted to go out and meet a guy and have fun and be sociable, but she's just repulsed by it for some reason. So I don't know, her desires or her personality is just being rewritten by her paranoia.
I was thinking like that dinner I had with George. If I had more time, I should have brought a pack of cheese doodles. See what his
He would have probably loved it.
Just laid it casually on the
yeah,
table.
on the table. Be like, anyone have some cheese doodles?
Would you like to see my things?
Like
Oh shit!
it's like the feathered hat almost.
Yeah, but Feathered Hat is like he wouldn't get that reference, right? But he might get the cheese doodle. Like that's his specific.
Yeah.
You're back.
I get the sense that George would. I mean, I'm sure he loves talking about A Song of Ice and Fire, but I'm sure he would love to talk about some of his older stuff as well. He probably never gets to discuss it in much detail.
But we actually did. I mean, like one thing we did mention was when we were talking about Mushroom, the writer, because he did eventually talk about the latest short stories, and then we were like, is Mushroom a reference to the cat Mushroom? I didn't even say the cat. I was like, hey Mimi, do you want to ask him about Mushroom? And he was like, oh, you mean like Mushroom was the cat? No, it wasn't a reference. It was just his shape. That's where it came from. It wasn't initially a reference to Mushroom the cat, but he knew, like off the bat, he got Mushroom the cat. Like that, obviously because he wrote it, right? But it was on his head that he knew Mushroom the cat as well.
I'm not getting Mushroom the cat. So.
What's
that from?
In Haviland Tough, one of his cats
from Tough.
is called
Okay.
Mushroom.
Okay.
So we thought, maybe the name is referring to the cat,
Sure,
but
sure.
it wasn't.
Okay.
But I mean, that was right on the top of his head.
Yeah.
Even though he wrote it decades ago. So.
Yeah.
Which is amazing just to think how much is in there.
I just wish I had talked
no
about
kidding.
Sand Kings, but we just never got there. I didn't want to be like creepy pear-shaped guy.
How long was the dinner overall?
We got there about 9:30, and he left at 11:30. So yeah, it was 2
pretty good,
hours.
2 hours,
It was good, but it just never quite came back to that conversation to bring it up. I think you guys have listened to that episode, right? The
Oh yeah.
Comic-Con.
The recap?
Yeah, the one where I vomited in the morning and then...
Yeah,
that was
that
such a
episode.
good story.
That
yeah.
episode gave me that was so horrible because I thought you were going to get to the conversation at the end and do like a full recap or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, because it's such a tease, right? It built up.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't deal with it. I was like,
sorry,
oh,
it was,
fuck.
it was,
yeah.
it was off the record.
That was
We can't talk
horrible.
about the details.
Yeah.
That was such a cool episode, though. It just felt like so triumphant.
Yeah, it was a really fun episode, but it was like build and build and build and build and queue.
John gets stabbed. It's all over.
Yeah.
I posted on my Twitter that night. Like I was like had dinner with Mimi and Kyle and George, and then people were posting on the forum speculating if it was George, and I think like one of the guys, I don't remember, he was like, if it's real, I'm really happy. If it's one of his jokes, I'm going to be really pissed off. I was like, wow, I'm really doing a lot of jokes. People thought I was just faking out. It was like some fake George or something. But
yeah, I wasn't sure at that when I saw it on Twitter. I wasn't sure whether it was real or not. I thought it might be a trick.
I think we mentioned it on the podcast roundtable, but I loved it was so cool the fact that you were all at different parts of the city. Like Amin was vomiting in the alleyway, and I think Kyle was like trying to pick up cosplay chicks, and Mimi was out in the middle of nowhere, and you just got and just converged on this one location. It was so exciting.
Kyle was just about to ask the girl if he wanted to see his things, and then he got a call. He had to put his cheesies away.
Gotta go, just like leaves a trail of cheese doodles in it.
Yeah, it was fortunate that we were all within 10 minutes of the location because we had 10 minutes to get there. Because you wouldn't want to miss that, to be like an hour away or something.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that would have been like just such a killer.
Devastating.
Yeah.
Poor Ashley.
Well, there was no expectation, even before going there, let alone when we asked them that would happen. It was just worked out.
That's right. Yeah, it had to all fall into place.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the story. She's being cheese blocked. Anyway, so she sleeps away in a hotel, but still can't escape the dream, and it goes further and further. The breasts with the blue ink stain. It's like, what kind of blue ink stain? Like, how did he come up with that?
Yeah, that part. Yeah, that part was like sort of the weird. Like, it almost like pulled me out of like everything is gross and into like that's a really strange thing to have. But okay.
He really was pear-shaped. It wasn't just the way he was dressed. And then his boxer shorts. Last of all, and then she looked. There was no hair. It was small and wormy and kind of yellow, like a cheese. And then the pear shop man, I want your things now. Give them to me. Let me see your things.
Yeah, the colors are really vivid. Just the orange and the yellow and the blue against his pale white flesh.
But we can see why the cheese would be like a cheese curl would be associated with panties. Like when you see that description.
The phallus. Well,
thanks for pointing that out.
I'm going to say that as many times as I know how uncomfortable it makes me feel.
Not even like an erect. Yeah, it's like an impotent or something.
Yeah, it's a sad and pathetic cheese.
Yeah,
limp and curling. Sorry.
Well, maybe if you stare at it long enough, you'll be able to see it properly. It'll change.
Little bony Maroney.
Yeah, it does kind of match the description of the previous story, right? Like pulling the pants down, and there's just like this.
Yeah. These fat guys exposing themselves.
Yeah. So she came back. She thought he was going to be away. Made him stay outside. Then she goes to the drawer and then to get a fresh pair of panties. Yeah,
she kind of like almost is on top of things again. She's like, okay, I'm going to take a cold shower. I got this plan. I'm going to do work, blah, blah, blah. And then cheese doodle falls out of her panties and it's just all over.
I mean, I think that would push me over the edge right now. And I don't even...
Well, in every single pair.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's.
They were all wrapped in every pair.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And how did that happen? Like
she probably did it. I think
herself, but when? She wasn't even then. Like she did it there and then forgot about it, or
who knows? I mean, did it in the middle of the night.
But she did it. The guy actually hadn't gone into there.
I don't think so. But
yeah.
I thought it might have been Angie
initially.
Like,
but she deny it later on though.
But maybe she like saw Jesse going so over the edge that she suddenly felt guilty and had to deny it.
Well, she says, she's like, maybe it was a joke. And then she's like, she just knew that it hadn't been.
Oh, she knew that it had been, yeah. Maybe she unconsciously knew it was herself.
Yeah.
So she threw up her balled up panties to the floor and then ran, crushing cheese doodles onto the carpet.
Oh, and it's the painting, actually, that sends her kind of over the edge. Curled up the ball.
Oh, because it comes back, right? It's been sent back to her?
Yeah.
Not funny, kid, he scrawled. Forget it. And then he opens up and it's her. She's in there being pulled to him. Green eyes full of rapture.
It's a bit like the monkey treatment, like seeing the monkey, forgetting about the monkey and then seeing it on your back. It's this the fear of this thing occurring without your knowledge. It's just going on outside of your frame of view. And then it's suddenly there in your face.
She's sobbing on there, and then Angela's there, and then Donald's like, your obsession has gone too far.
Yeah, and I guess it's one of those things where it's like, you start. I mean, she must have. She was sort of convinced into thinking like, oh, I'm just crazy, like I'm crazy, and this guy is, almost a psychologist or psychiatrist or whatever, and maybe I do need just to confront this irrational whatever. But it still feels like, I don't know. I feel like even in that sort of circumstance, it would be like, I'm not. I don't know. Just sort of like, I don't care if I am crazy. I'm moving. I'm gone.
Yeah. You don't see him alone.
Yeah, exactly.
You should come.
You don't go in there by yourself, you crazy psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're terrible friends.
I mean, either he is doing something or she herself is unstable. Either of those situations is not good to go alone. What if she does something? Like, if she stabs him with a knife? Like,
yeah, exactly.
What if he was just a harmless pear-shaped man and she stabs him with a knife? Right? Yeah.
Yeah, again, you're not sure why you should be afraid. There's nothing specific to point out. It's just this unknown ambivalence.
Just like a primal fear, just like you can't consciously know, but you somehow have this feeling, this instinct. There's something wrong.
It doesn't have a physical form. It's just this like crawling feeling in the pit of your stomach.
It's funny when she's like, "I left the windows open," and Angela's like, "Oh no, like I guess I left it open." But it's very unlikely that he actually could have got in there to climb in and then get past the screen and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't think he actually went in there.
Maybe he's like a vampire.
It seems unlikely. Unless he, slithered up the wall and, some sort of, unless something really weird happened, I don't...
The little parasite form of him left his body and then and then put the stuff in the panties and then slithered out.
Maybe he's like a vampire. He turns into a cheese doodle and, flies off.
He's got a cheese doodle. Because, we saw that they're like blimps, right? So they're lighter than air.
Yeah,
they're lighter than air.
He just fly up there and...
Yeah.
He gets into his cheese doodle blimp and flies around.
Yeah.
He's like Santa Claus.
And so, how did he get into that one room? Not because both their rooms are there, right? So I guess, they could have just looked in the room that had all of Donald's clothes, because the guy is always there, and then determined that it was the other one. But
yeah, I think that was sort of a not very rational explanation, right? Like, oh, he couldn't possibly have figured out which room was which. And it was like, I don't know, if he's been stalking her, he knows what window is hers, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly. He could have figured it out.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
It's the fact that she drew him into a painting that casts a lot of doubt on her sanity.
Yeah. Well, they say
I mean, for sure, they have good reason to think she's nuts, but...
Yeah. Well, when he says, it's good work almost as yours, they're just being sarcastic, making fun of her, it's actually your work, or...
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, somebody dropped out again.
Emma?
We're almost done now. We're good for time, right? You got to go soon, Michael, or...
I'm fine. It's Sundays, I don't have anything.
Yeah. Oh, good, and we're almost done anyways, but let's make sure we get her back.
Do you get, a noise that plays when somebody drops or something?
A boop
sound.
Yeah.
All right.
I usually turn my Skype sounds off, but on this computer I hadn't done that yet, so...
I had one sort of reading of the text. I thought it kind of what it plays with is anxieties about living in the city or urban living, particularly the notion that the city dweller is surrounded by strangers. Jessie refers to herself as a small town girl, and she makes a point to introduce herself to all of her neighbors because she feels more comfortable with living around people who know her. But she can't bring herself to do it with the pear-shaped man, which I thought was interesting. And so I guess he's the stranger. He's not only strange in appearance and behavior, but I guess he just represents that figure of the stranger, this vague sort of ambivalent, sinister presence, which you never really understand, but it's something that surrounds you in sort of those open spaces that someone moving to the city for the first time can find very confronting.
Well, and I see Donald's view is just a very male perspective. It's just you just confront him and talk to him. It's it's different when you're a 120-pound woman to just talk to a stranger or whatever.
Or even just ignore them. That's kind of something someone living in the city learns how to do. They just kind of detach themselves. They accept strangers. They don't interact with them. They assume a certain level of detachment from their environment. And
Hello?
Hey,
Amber.
So Duncan was just describing something. If you could describe it again, she could.
Yeah. I thought a part of what Jessie's kind of anxiety is about is moving to the city for the first time. She describes herself as a small town girl, and sort of being around strangers for the first time. And it seems like Angela has adapted to that a lot, and her boyfriend. They've become I don't know, they become sort of numb to a certain elements of the city, maybe the chaos and the crime and the poverty and the strangeness of the city and the creepiness of some of its characters. They learn how to block that out. And maybe some of Jessie's psychosis is this inability to block a lot of that out, and it kind of infests her actions. And I guess the pear-shaped man, who, whether he is sort of sinister or not, he becomes the embodiment of that kind of strangeness and that scariness in the city.
Well, and I wonder too, because it's almost not even her, but it's kind of her circumstance, because she's the only one she's kind of forced into isolation. She doesn't go to a day job. She doesn't have a boyfriend that comes over. She's just kind of alone with her thoughts and her obsessions the whole time.
Definitely, yeah. She becomes a bit isolated. She's stuck in a small space for a certain amount of time, and at the end, you sort of see her closing the windows, closing herself in, a bit like the pear-shaped man. He's sort of isolating himself from society, and she can feel herself maybe becoming like that or becoming infested with that idea. And yeah, she's the first time she's cut off from sort of a familiar or a home support structure. She's on her own, literally and sort of socially.
And I just see Don's view in the whole story is just a strongly male perspective of the idea that you can just ignore something or just confront it as different.
Yeah, he's just trying to find a solution. Like, he's not listening to what she's saying or her feelings. He's just like, okay, well, this is what you need to do if that's how you feel.
Yep.
But Angela can kind of do that. She can kind of block some of that out and just ignore it and make fun of it.
But it hasn't happened to her. Like, it's only through her. Like, he hasn't done anything to her.
For sure, yeah.
Like, it makes you think, like, what if Angela had been the one that would be the target? Would Don act the same way, or do you think he would do something, right? Like,
yeah, I like the kind of feminist reading, the idea that he might not actually do something, but he's creating this really uncomfortable,
atmosphere,
harassing atmosphere. There's this sort of violating gaze that he gives off.
Well, and you wonder, I mean, if he was just a normal-looking dude who was doing those things, I think it would still come off as pretty creepy. Like, at first it might be flattering, but it's just not, you just don't do those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, wasn't there a movie of somebody going through New York and people are making comments or something like?
Yeah, the 10-hour walk through New York.
Comments by themselves can be harassment. That's what harassment. It doesn't have to be a physical. The physical thing is assault, and harassment is just comments or even following somebody or.
Assault is actually verbal. So
that's true. Yeah, it can be assault. I'm just talking, but it's not sexual assault.
Sure. Yeah.
But at the same time, the pear-shaped man kind of deals with a lot of that. He's constantly getting strange looks and strange comments, and I don't know, maybe that sense of victimization. I don't know, projected outwards. Obviously, it's not okay, but it's weird that
he has a certain resentment toward it. He's like, everyone's always making fun of me, and they don't.
Although it's almost childlike. Jessie imbues it with this kind of sinisterness and this scariness and creepiness, but ultimately it's almost like you can interpret him as this very feeble-witted person.
Yeah, he's either childless or he's something horror. He's never sexual, even though it's all like about pulling out. It's not a sexual sex. It's not sex that he's going to do. It's just
it's this sort of pre-pubescent kind of obsession and trying to caught her in a weird, fumbling way.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not about sex, but I'm not sure that there's nothing sexual about it. Like, I think
it's power, kind of, though. Right? He's got that dominance thing of it. He's like, "Oh, I'm watching you, and you want my things." Like,
and there's definitely it's intruding into her paintings of romantic scenes, right? And like the cheese doodles are in her underwear. He's taking his pants off. I mean, like, it's definitely sexual, even if it's not really about sex.
Yeah, just the imagery and the metaphor of it, and I mean, even get into her sex life. This gets blocks her sex life.
Yeah, right.
Well, and then at the end, when he finally does overtake her, it's definitely, it's his tongue and it's snaking down inside her, touching, tasting, feeling all her things. Like, she's not saying, "Help, I'm being raped," but it is a violation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the painting almost, I mean, this might be the sigh or the supernatural elements of this story, but the painting implies that some of this desire is almost reciprocated in her. That she's starting to desire him in a way.
Well, I mean, but that's definitely yeah. I mean, that's part of either whichever way you want to look at it, either her going crazy or the sigh thing. But I mean, in the same way that she's like desiring like the taste of the cheese doodles, and she's also sort of being drawn towards creepy dude.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably too advanced for a story from the 80s, but it could even be like, I mean, when somebody's is sexually assaulted, the body could still have like a reaction and be like, oh, she really wanted it, but we all know it's just a physiological reaction that a person has no control over. Like,
sure.
It's still a sexual assault.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this could be that interpretation, but I don't think Martin was that far ahead looking for that. I don't think they were thinking about that kind of thing in the 80s. Anyways, so they're going to go down and talk, and Dawn and Angela will just be outside. She's trying to, like, rationalize to herself that everything's going to be okay. Because if she just yells, they'll come in. Apparently.
Oh, and by the way, saying you have your knife, so if anything happens, just stab him.
Just murder someone.
Just go with her. They, you know.
Yeah.
They should have just gone with the three of them into there and just to show her the place or something. But,
so cavalier about murder. Just stab him.
This is the part like, you don't want to be reading late at night, though. She goes down, and the door is opening like the dream. And she opens the door. She's like, there she is, said the pear-shaped man.
Well, and they didn't even follow her. Like, they should have at least stood there with her because he grabs her arm.
Oh, yeah,
and,
pulling her in. Yeah,
pulls her inside.
Well, they wanted to get rid of her roommate, so...
or at least have her replaced by a more
friendly...
Yeah.
And this is all engineered by Don so he can get her room.
But you're right, he does pull her in, right? He actually physically grabs her and pulls her in.
Mm-hmm.
You should, what we should do, a reading of this last part, maybe. Oh, this is pretty long, though, eh?
There's a lot of description.
Why don't we do Duncan as the pear-shaped man? And, or unless Michael wants to take it.
I mean, I can do it if you want. I have to go grab my book, though.
Up to you guys. So we should do a reading from just this part to the...
All right, hang on 1 second, then I'll be back.
Where?
Well, let's see. Let's pull it up. I mean, it's only a couple of pages. Oh, it's a bit long. Okay, we'll start with when the door is opening. The door was opening. Where should we go to? No, let's go to the part where, like, till she goes unconscious.
Do you want just dialogue, or
everything? I guess. Yeah.
Do you want to be the narrator then?
Yeah, sure. I'll be the narrator. Wait, so is Duncan going to say anything then? Not for this part.
Yeah, I can trying to think of a scary, squeaky voice.
Did Michael go get his book?
There she is.
Yeah.
You should do that.
All right.
Hey, Michael, I think Duncan's going to do it, actually.
Oh, okay. No worries.
Yeah. Michael, you can start acting it out or something.
Just like, yeah.
I just you just want me to breathe heavily in the background?
Yes.
We need to add some music to the background for this thing.
Eating some cheese doodles.
Yeah.
Just crunch.
Just get something.
Fizzy drinks.
Okay, so we're going to start... Oh, I'm the narrator, actually. Okay, here we go. The door was opening. Why did it have to open so slowly like in her dreams? Why did it have to open at all? The light was so bright in there. As the door opened, Jessie found herself squinting. The pear-shaped man stood smiling at her.
There she is.
The pear-shaped man said in his tiny little squeak.
What do you want from me?
I knew you'd come.
He said as though she wasn't there.
I knew you'd come for my things.
No.
Jessie said. No means no, by the way.
Exactly.
She wanted to run away, but her feet would not move.
You can come in,
he said. He raised his hand, moved it toward her face. He touched her. 5 fat white maggots crawled across her cheek and wriggled through her hair. His fingers smelled like cheese curls. His pinky touched her ear and tried to burrow inside. She hadn't seen his other hand move until she felt it grip her upper arm. Pulling. His flesh felt damp and cold. Jessie whimpered.
Come in and see my things,
he said.
You have to. You know you have to.
And somehow she was inside then, and the door was closing behind her, and she was there, inside, alone with the pear-shaped man. Jessie tried to get a grip on herself.
Nothing to be afraid of.
She repeated to herself, a litany, a charm, a chant.
Nothing to be afraid of. What could he do? What could he do?
The room was L-shaped, low-ceilinged, filthy. The sickly sweet smell was overwhelming. 4 naked light bulbs burned in the fixture above, and along one wall was a row of old lamps without shades, bare bulbs blazing away. A 3-legged card table stood against the opposite wall, its 4th corner propped up by a broken TV set. This guy has a broken TV? Is that one?
Yeah, he didn't seem
what
to
a
be
loser.
watching TV, which I thought was weird.
On the top of the card table was a big bowl of cheese doodles. Jessie looked away, feeling sick. She tried to step backward and her foot hit an empty plastic Coke bottle. She almost fell, but the pear-shaped man caught her in his soft, damp grip and held her upright. Jessie yanked herself free of him and backed away. Her hand went to her purse and closed around the knife. It made her feel better, stronger. She moved close to the boarded-up window. Outside, she could make out Donald and Angela talking. The sound of the voices so close at hand, that helped too. She tried to sum up all of her strength.
How do you live like this?
She asked them.
Do you need help cleaning up the place? Are you sick?
It was so hard to force out the words.
Sick?
The pear-shaped man repeated.
Did they tell you I was sick? They lie about me. They lie about me all the time. Somebody should make them stop.
If only
I don't know what I'm doing.
If only he would stop smiling. His lips were so wet, but he never stopped smiling.
I knew you'd come. Here, this is for you.
He pulled it from a pocket, held it out.
No, I'm not hungry, really.
But she was hungry, she realized. She was famished. She found herself staring at the thick orange twist between his fingers, and suddenly she wanted it desperately.
No.
She said again, but her voice was weaker now, barely more than a whisper, and the cheese curl was very close. Her mouth sagged open. She felt it on her tongue, the roughness of the powdery cheese, the sweetness of it. It crunched softly between her teeth. She swallowed and licked the last orange flake from her lower lip. She wanted more.
I knew it was you,
said the pear-shaped man.
Now your things are mine.
Alright, I think that's probably enough. We got a lot to read, but,
It just gets worse from there.
yeah, it gets worse. But I mean, it's got to be Psy or some sort of thing taking her over here, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's something going on.
Because she can't yell. I mean, like she can barely talk. Like if she was able to say, like, here's my what if. If somehow she had broken through and yelled and they came in, what would they have seen? Would they actually have seen like this thing happening?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they would have. I just think that was not. That was sort of something that was not possible.
Yeah, but not the intention of the writer. But I mean, this is an actual thing happening. Like this, actually, he's doing this. He's getting stabbed.
I think so.
Yeah, and he's pale dead meat. The body is just like a host or something for the.
I kind of wonder if his little basement apartment is like some sort of, I don't know, vortex or something that's been there since before time. And like Highlanders, they just keep replacing one another. They just have to wait to find the right person.
Some kind of gatekeeper or watchman.
With cheese doodles.
But he
But, like,
feels
the city
all her
is-
things. Like what is he? He's basically like the parasite is entering her or something, right? Like the worm thing or whatever is going to her body. Because what happens again?
Yeah.
Her body
Her
switched,
body,
though, right?
her personality, her desires, her everything. It's all the things that make her her.
Yeah. So she wakes up and she's now in the body of the pear-shaped man. She's him, and she keeps. What's interesting, she keeps mixing up he and she over and over again, like between the two of them. But in the last paragraph, it just switches to he. Like that personality is dominant. It's just all he's.
It's like she's inherited everything that he is, but she's still got a few remnants of her old life. But it slowly just gets subsumed.
Yeah.
Some residue from her past memories.
Well, and does that mean that, like, she hears herself, I guess, talking to Angela and Donald outside, and she's just all normal, everything's fine now. So does that mean that he doesn't, will he also lose memory of being a pear-shaped man? Like, does Jessie continue to be Jessie?
Jessie is now under control of that parasite thingy. Like,
Well, I know, but I mean her body, like from the outside, what people see as Jessie, will he just gain her memories and her life
Yeah.
as she takes on his?
Is there anything to separate Jessie from the real Jessie from the fake Jessie? If she inherits the body, the memories, the personality, then it might as well just be Jessie because she's inheriting all of his personality.
Well, it's
and
got
body
something
and
else on
memories.
top of it, I think, is the issue.
She gets the memories of Jesse, but you can see the things being malicious. It's like, oh, it's just it's like making fun of him already. Like
It's like, I mean, the typical, like, invasion of the body snatchers kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? Like, they do get all the memories that you have, but they, have their own as well. Like, it's somebody riding you. It's not
Jessie
you.
herself is in that body now, is in the pear-shaped man.
But I don't know if it's to a malicious end. I think she whatever it is, just wanted to get out of that body and have.
Well,
a
it's
normal
malicious
life.
toward Jessie. Now she's in a pear-shaped man. Like,
Yeah, but maybe I think it's of course, but I don't think she's planning anything beyond that, or he's planning anything beyond that.
we don't know what will happen to the Jessie body if that's going to do anything more. But I mean, even the laugh is ice cubes tinkling like a glass of Coke is supposed to be a reference to the thing likes Coke, right?
Yeah. Everything is painted in terms of those few things.
Yeah.
But I am a little. I mean, obviously, none of us know what's going on. But it is strange that if it's some sort of just why if we say the parasite moved from the pear-shaped man to Jessie, and then that means that the parasite has left the apartment, right?
Yeah.
Which means that is the pear-shaped man body going to grow a new parasite that needs a new host, or what's going on?
Yeah, if it just stopped at this point, you think it'd be over, right? But it seems like now the pear-shaped man is going to do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Again.
Yeah.
What is that?
But maybe the body and the apartment that's the dark presence, and what basically this is the previous girl that apartment took hold of, and basically she escaped. Yeah. So another girl like Jessie got taken over, and she's found a girl like her.
Well, that's the question, right? The question is whether or not the old girl has now escaped, or whether it's this is the parasite's way of breeding or whatever.
I like the way you're saying that the new parasites are just going to be generated out of this body.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, all it is really is just you're switching bodies with
right.
If it's always girls, it's just you're just switching, but it's
exactly. It's sort of just you have to
be in there for a year or two and then you switch.
Right, exactly. Or even if it's a long time, I mean, it's okay, basically you switched bodies and time traveled 20 years into the future. That's not the worst thing in the world, I guess. But
that's kind of how it feels to me. It just feels okay, now we're back at square one, and maybe he'll wait 40 years or something till someone moves in to this 6-apartment building or down the street or something, and he'll know that they want his things.
Right. The question
go toward your interpretation, Michael, is because he becomes a he at the very end. Maybe her personality is pretty much going to die out now, and then it's going to maggots going to be generated.
Exactly. So that's the question: is the new Jessie? What does the new Jessie remember? What is she? And then by pulling that out further, whatever the new Jessie remembers now will be what old Jessie / new pear-shaped man will remember when eventually they find a new host. Yeah, we don't know the answer to that.
It would suck to be stuck in that body for a certain amount of time, but if you switch out of it, it's less.
If you were going to get out, then exactly.
It's less sinister than if you actually you're going to die now, and then that's it for you.
Exactly.
The next parasite, the next maggot's going to grow out of it and go in that makes more sense. Otherwise, it's just body switching. With kind of what's the purpose of it? Why did
Which I think is why I didn't care for this one as much. Aside from the fact that it's just kind of gross and not enjoyable, to me, it just seems I don't feel like there's a question. I feel okay, Jessie's going to get her job back and just be Jessie again, and the pear-shaped man will be the pear-shaped man again. It almost feels pointless.
But the new Jessie is not Jessie. Is she going to die, or she's...
I don't know that we know it for sure, but I think it's... I would agree with you that the story would seem pretty pointless if the new Jessie is just Jessie. I think the new Jessie is pretending to be just Jessie.
Yeah, it's pretending to be it. Just the way, with the ice cubes tinkling in a glass of Coke.
See, I think the first time I read it, I kind of thought that he's in there and he's saying, "Oh, I couldn't believe I was so silly." There's nothing, it's totally fine. He's pathetic, but I feel like there was just a shift in the brain, and she almost doesn't remember the connection, the sigh between them that drew her to him has been cut. And even though in a way she's a different person, I don't think she'll remember any of it. I don't know why I think that, but
if that's the case, it's almost like nothing has happened, because if the new Jessie has taken on all the memories and the identity of the old Jessie, and then the old Jessie has taken on all the memories and identity of the pear-shaped man, it's nothing has changed.
So
what has actually
swapped
over? What has swapped over? Because their minds are the same, but their soul maybe is swapped over.
It would just, it would just be horrid if it was just you switched bodies and that was it. Then you'd be stuck in the pear-shaped man for the rest of your life. Yeah. And I think I think it's either that or she loses her memories completely over time. Just I don't think those are the two options, and they're both bad. But,
So maybe she retains a sense that she's trapped and she's got to seek out a new girl to swap with, or a new body to swap with to escape.
Yeah, then that's, but that's still bad, but it's not as bad as being permanently stuck. Like, if you just, it just means you're going to be a different girl when you come out of there.
Right.
But
Which is
weirdly-
obviously not ideal, but you know.
But it seems like there's no way to get around it. Like, it's because of the size stuff. It's just going to happen. Like, once you meet the right host, it's just going to.
Right.
But weirdly, the pear-shaped man doesn't seem unhappy. It's like he seems to derive like profound joy from these things that we find disgusting, like the cheese doodles and the Coke
But
and
he
the
doesn't like being
apartment.
teased by people.
Yeah, he likes them,
Yeah.
but he's not happy, I don't
Yeah.
think.
It's not like he gets teased by
Yeah.
people and then he has spam mail. Doesn't like that. But, so I guess the story is saying, like, all those pear-shaped people you see, they're actually just in transit. Be careful about it, because you could become one. Is it what you talked about earlier, like the psychological aspect? You could become a pear-shaped person.
But it
Maybe the
doesn't actually
sequel's
seem
about.
as bad as, you know, what we look at him from the outside and he's smelly and
Oh,
he's
if I was
gross.
a Jesse and I became a pear-shaped man, I'd be pissed.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't seem to remember, though.
That's the thing. She loses the
Not
memory
very
completely.
clearly.
That's still
Yeah,
bad, too.
it's-
Like, you're
yeah.
basically the same as dying,
Yeah.
except that you're temporarily a pear-shaped man before you die.
And nobody knows how good a sip of warm Coke is.
No, I guess you will really enjoy eating the cheese doodles and the Coke and the ice cream. No, he likes the ice cream soda, right?
Yeah.
This is something I would ask George about, because he might actually talk about it. He's not going to talk about things in Ice and Fire you don't get. But
Sure.
for a story like this, he might not get.
Yeah, he
Like,
might-
This is what I
yeah.
intended when I did
Right.
it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's not a biggest deal, like, if he revealed what he
Yeah,
intended
absolutely.
here. So, but
Does he? I can't remember if he talks about it much in Dream Songs. There's sort of an afterword to monkey treatment. I don't think there's one for.
he doesn't go into a lot of
Pear-shaped
detail in the Pear-Shaped Man. Just says that it was easier to sell. Let's see.
Yeah.
Did he write anything else about it? But it just comes back to that overall thing we read about. It's just about the fears and, like, you know, everyone knows a pear-shaped man, so he played on that, like, that idea.
Yeah, it definitely brings the monster into reality, makes it sort of banal and relatable because we might know people like that. It has a very sort of urban legend quality to it as well. Like brings kind of gothic horror into the sort of urban setting.
The only thing is, like, it can live off just cheese doodles and Coke, so that the parasite just needs that stuff. Because the body itself, it's a dead body.
He's got it
right?
made.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not a real body. It's just a dead flesh. It's just. The
Yeah, it
parasite
seems
that-
like it's non-human flesh or something.
Yeah, it's like what nutrients is that providing to a body?
Was the original pear-shaped man body a human, or is it always like an alien thingy? That's it.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so I guess the question at the end is, like, would you do the monkey treatment, or would you want to be a pear-shaped man? Which
Oh, God.
Whoa.
Yeah, I
pear-shaped
mean,
man seems, if it's temporary, is better than the monkey treatment, because you could.
the pear-shaped man, if it's temporary, then it's sort of it's guaranteed temporary,
Yeah.
right? Like it's going to be a few years.
Because you have that side thing. Like,
Right, and
once you
it
find the
does
right
turn you into a predator, which is not cool. But whereas the monkey treatment, I feel like you always have a chance, but maybe not necessarily a good one.
Well, if you go Kenny's route and just get the monkey for a couple of months, get really skinny, and then jump off a bridge and land on it, and you're golden.
Well,
Like,
yeah, but I mean,
But
I think
that's a couple months of pure suffering as well. I mean,
Yeah.
that thing's beating the shit out of him. He's
No,
starving.
I'm not saying you have a choice. I'm saying you're forced to do one or the other. Which
yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know. I feel like I would do better with the monkey than Kenny did. I mean, like I feel like I would either
You would go to the goddamn doctor.
Yeah, I feel like the monkey thing, one way or the other, would be over in a day.
Just raise a couple of pit bulls and then
Yeah.
They like monkey meat.
Because at least you can sort of interact with people with the monkey. Like you definitely towards the end of it, you are becoming very weak. But I don't know. At least you're not stuck in an apartment just alone and isolated.
Well,
and
it
like
makes
that's
the
kind of
pear-shaped man
definite.
life so like pathetic and hard. Like,
Yeah.
you want to be in that.
Yeah.
And then the pear-shaped thing is sort of indefinite. It could be like that for 40 years of misery, and then
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you even remember it, is the question. Is her memory going to completely be? Because in the last paragraph, it's all he's. Like you see,
Yeah.
it's all he's. There's no more she
and
anymore.
it's sort of like the Matrix, blue pill, red pill. Would you be the pear-shaped man if it meant that you'd be happy and content in your misery?
Well, that's what I was thinking, because I think I would choose the pear-shaped man just for that reason, that he's kind of oblivious. I mean, he's maybe not super happy and doesn't like, people looking at him funny, but I guess it seems like the easy way out, and I think I would prefer that.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think. I think one of the reasons that he's sort of content-ish is that I don't think he really has a lot of mental capacity, right? Like, I mean, like when she's thinking about stuff at the end, like she's not thinking clearly.
Yeah.
It's like
and
like
I
a
would hate to
lobotomy.
be. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't like that, or I wouldn't choose that. I guess if it actually happened, I might not care so much. But
At
like,
least with the
I wouldn't be able to bring myself to make that decision.
Yeah, at least with the monkey, you still have all your capacities.
And
mental
now it's
capacities.
only now that Dawn's like, I think you've done it. You've bothered her quite enough now. It's like, well, now you're coming.
Yeah.
Around. It's like, what the hell?
Where was
Yeah,
this 2
exactly.
seconds ago, Don?
Yeah, but she took my things. The stupid guy didn't even hear or anything. Like, oh, because she wanted to yell, but then he just like covers her mouth, right?
Yeah.
You should have showed where she stabbed him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, isn't there a
Like,
knife in his neck, or is he
call the
bleeding
police.
right now? Like, he's...
Get her arrested.
So yeah, that's an exhaustive review of the two stories.
I think
That was
this
a long
the
one.
That
longest
was a long
podcast I've
review,
done
yeah.
I think by a long margin, that was the longest.
about the shortest stories.
Yeah.
I mean, I read these this morning.
But
Yeah,
you
they
know,
were really
it's horror.
short. I
Horror
was
stories.
surprised.
There's a lot to say
Yeah.
about them, right? There's a lot to.
Although I have a
discuss.
vague recollection of 30 minutes talking about cheese doodles. So
Yeah.
the show, I
That
guess.
That was
just
setting
a
the
dream.
stage.
Yeah.
No, it was setting the stage for the story. If we didn't really investigate cheese doodles, I don't think we
Yeah.
could have appreciated.
It's
Gotta
like
get
Daniel
down to
the
Day-Lewis.
fair
You have
shape,
to breathe.
Yeah. Yeah, really. That's what we all should have been,
Yeah.
on a strict diet of cheese doodles and Coke for the last week.
Yeah,
I
that's a
will
new
never eat cheese doodles after this.
No, now you know what to do.
Not that I can. It's not in
I hope
Australia.
you were
but
taking
I'm
notes
gonna-
next time you bring a girl back to your place. Have some cheese. Doodles.
Yeah.
Serve up sandwiches and cheese.
Oh. So are we thinking, I mean, are you doing novels more on the back burner at this point?
I think so, because they take so long to read, and then imagine how long they would take to review. Well, yes, we would just talk the main points of them, but
Yeah.
we have enough short stories to get through right now that we can always just go back to short stories
Yeah.
for a
Are you,
while.
are you guys going to do the Ice Dragon?
What?
Yeah, you know,
Did that
actually,
already come out? The new?
yeah, I did, but actually, I'm going to get. They are sending review copies to us, but because it's in the same universe, or whatever. That's what I said in the email.
Yeah.
The universe makes sense. I actually wrote universe. It's fine.
Yeah.
The universe has billions of planets. It's the same
Oh, yeah.
world that is
That's-
bullshit.
That's true.
Oh, so did you guys got your World of Ice and Fire through the publisher directly?
We did. Like
I just sort of assumed that maybe Elio and Linda had intervened in that. So.
Well, they did. They did. I think they might have emailed the publisher just as a backup or reference.
Yeah.
But we also emailed the publisher.
That's
Nice.
cool. And I mean, if you're getting
We are getting stuff now because we built up a portfolio of we got this, we got the Therapy
Right.
language thing, which we haven't fully reviewed because there's not much. I mean, it's good, but
yeah.
we'll do at some point. But we're getting enough stuff now that when it was Ice Dragon, I said, hey, we've reviewed all these things, and here's a
Hey.
proof because I have
Give me my ice
off.
track.
I scanned
the
the
ice
letters
track.
that we got when we got it because you got a press letter when you get it, right?
Yeah.
So I have a PDF that shows proof that we're pressed, and so with the Ice Dragon, it wasn't that hard to get it because I was I sent the email initially, and then I didn't hear anything. It probably got lost, and I emailed again. I was like, by the way, we've got every Ice and Fire thing lately. So do you want to be the people who don't send it to us? And then. not quite that bluntly, but they kind of throw it at it, right?
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Oh, hey, yeah, let's send it to you."
Do they still
Take
do
it
a,
easy.
a
Take it
Maester's
easy.
box? Do they still do a Maester's box for the show?
No, I don't think they ever did after the first season.
Yeah, I think that was just a first
Yeah.
year thing.
But I mean, Ashley and I are going to review it, but it's not. I wanted to do the four of us, but I don't think Kyle's going to do it, and maybe he's so busy.
Yeah.
So I think we will do a main Ice and Fire episode, not be okay, and then get a few people to join us.
Nice.
That's what I want to do because especially because they sent us a review, we might as well do it in the full podcast.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to
Make
keep
it
the thing
legit.
going. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we will do that. Yeah, we will.
It's
do
not
our-
it's not rewritten at all, right? It's just
No, I think it's the same text, but he has Louis
Okay.
Royo's artwork, which is nice.
yeah. Sure. Yeah.
It's a pretty harrowing book. I mean, it sort of
Yeah, it's
seems like a
that's
kid's book, but it's
That's
really
a rough
bleak.
book. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think read it. We can pull you guys in. We could do us plus Ashley. We could do that.
Dibs.
You've all been on the main podcast before, right?
Yeah.
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 But still, it doesn't mean you're not going to do it again.
No. Right,
Duncan,
yeah.
did that just make your day?
I've had Coke and cheese doodles before.
So exciting.
Yeah, we're going to have
much
cheese.
excitement.
Well, from now on, it's going to be cheese doodle jokes all the time.
God.
No.
Lemon cakes and cheese doodles for.
No, don't mix them. That's sacrilege.
Now,
Lemon cakes are
we've
pure and
ruined
beautiful.
Duncan's sex life. Now, whenever he sees panties, he's gonna think of cheese doodles, and it's gonna affect him.
No, it's entwined. It's rewritten me.
Duncan, sorry about that.
No, shut up. not funny.
Well, I guess it wouldn't really be funny if you actually had a problem with cheese doodles.
Never gonna. Well, it's not. Luckily, we don't have them in Australia. But
Just Duncan, hey Duncan, you got to face your fears. You just got to get
as long as I keep
fistful
the
of those
Earth,
things.
as long as I keep the planet between me and the source of cheese doodles, I'll be all right.
No,
the
you
molten
got to
core
face
will
your fears,
protect me.
Duncan. You got to confront them
All
and
right.
see how.
Never.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know what happens. I'll be-
Yeah, we'll just be outside. You can
Duncan.
hear it.
Yeah.
I'll swap bodies with like a packet of cheese doodles, and the cheese doodles will live out my life.
Just
I know
confront
the
them, you
deal.
need- Yeah.
I know the deal.
This is so weird. Like I'm. All right.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me today. That was fun.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Check us out on bastardsofkingsgrave.wordpress.com and our main podcast Advice from Fire site. And we'll be continuing our Martin Sphere and Georgeverse reviews. I'm not sure what we'll do next. Like, we'll do Ice Dragon on the main podcast, but we'll check out us on the forums and we'll discuss what we'll do coming up. And send us your comments if you listen to this massive episode. Send us comments. We always like to hear them.
And cheese doodle pics.
Let us know if you like cheese doodles. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Cheese doodle pics.
Yeah. Yeah, send us the cheese doodle
I don't want to
pics.
see any of that.
Don't
Just
send any
PM
don't send any
everything
panty
directly
pictures
to
of
Duncan.
cheese doodles.
Use spoiler tags for those.
That's Valkrist on the forums.
That's yeah, send them to Valkyris on the forums. Their cheese
If I get 1 p.m. of a cheese doodle, you're not going to know what.
And we'll request those review copies from the Cheese Doodles website.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to? If they actually send us review copies, do you want a copy then, Duncan? Probably not.
Wait, what?
If they actually send us review flavors to review.
Oh. I don't know. Maybe I should face my fears.
Yeah, because
Maybe if I look at them in like an academic light.
we'll just
it'll,
wait
like,
outside while you
give
do
some
it.
potency.
We'll just wait outside while you do it. So if you have trouble, just yell. So.
Yeah. I'll bring a knife in.
Yeah. Next time you have a hot date, we'll just wait outside and then. While you...
Crunching.
Crunching.
The ominous sound of crunching from within. Warm Coke like pulls out of the door like blood.
But then you'll be
That's
like,
fantastic.
then we'll see you. And you'll be like, oh, it's all okay. It was just.
No, everything's fine. Yeah,
It's
no,
fine.
I
Yeah,
really-
it's
I
an
really enjoyed
innocent
it.
packet of
It's nothing.
crunchies.
And you'll be like, I
It's
can't-
nothing.
I can't wait to do Ice Dragon.
Yeah.
Ice Dragon, and then yeah, it'd be good.
You see the packet leaning out. You
Yeah.
still what is happening?
All right, make sure you back up or copy your MP3s. I don't want to lose this episode. Like after.
Yeah,
I
no, that would be
Podcast gold.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
yellow, and
attach
crunchy,
it to
just like
the.
cheesy yellow gold.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll PM it to this Skype chat.
Well, that's an idea. That could be one of the when you first register, you could be a house cheese doodle or something for him.
I don't think people should get that when they first register. That should be like somewhere after Wardens of the
That is
Lydia.
deep knowledge of the
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
universe.
Cheese Lord or
Cheese Lord.
Monkey Lord.
That is upper echelon.
Like Illyrio's the cheesemonger, right?
Yeah, there you go. Oh, he's a
Oh
cheesemonger.
no!
Oh,
my God.
Just
He is the
fine.
ape lord.
there you go.
Uh,
There you go.
It's not the mermen; it's the ape lords that are taking over.
Yeah.
The planet of the apes.
Well, there's that guy in the. Well, that explains why there's all those like enormous people over the place in the story. Like the guy in the.
right, they're the cheese
Zach.
doodle lords. Yeah.
Yeah. The cheese.
That's a good point because somebody was saying, I forget whether it was Amber or Duncan or who it was, but was saying that maybe the guy's apartment had been there forever or whatever, right?
Yeah, like
And
the
so
sea
if-
had built over it.
Yeah, if that's the
Dawn of
case, then that
time.
was before cheese doodles. So like he must have had, like just regular cheese or something at some point.
Maybe cheese doodles is like an ancient like.
I guess that could be. Maybe that's how Illyrio made his fortune. Was he came up with cheese doodles?
in-
Or I mean, sorry, when I say he came up with cheese doodles, I mean he imported them to Westeros from. Or
What did the
to
guy
Westeros.
say in Planet of the Apes?
Damn you! You've blown it all to hell or something. I don't know.
you maniacs! You
Yeah.
blew it up! Damn you! Damn you all to hell! I just remember that from The Simpsons when Homer's going to the moon.
This
It's like, wait a minute, Statue of Liberty? That was our planet!
This won an award, Pear-Shaped Man. One of the first Bram Stoker awards. He's got there. Add that to his list. All right.
And I need a
That's
drink.
late, yeah.
It's been
Warm
good,
Coke.
guys.
Have a warm, have a nice Coke, yeah.
All right, I'll see you guys. later.
You can't get tired of cheese doodle jokes. It's unlimited.
No, they're fantastic.
So
I mean, we
well,
spent half an hour on that website. I mean,
All right, see ya.
see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Let's see you guys.